What is up, beauties? My name, of course, is Burnsy. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. Welcome to YouTube Stories, and today I will be telling the story that has been most requested by you. That, of course, is addressing the video of me absolutely screaming at a young 13 to 14-year-old child on a Skype call. Screaming would be an understatement, but let's just call it my biggest regret and biggest mistake on YouTube. Before I dive deep into this, I'm going to answer a few general questions that you had about it, and then we'll move on to what happened leading up to it, what events actually occurred, and then my reaction and response to it. The first question being, were there any legal ramifications either way, and have you talked to the kid since? No and no. Has anyone you know closely ever watched the video? If so, how did they feel about your reaction to the situation? No, not to my knowledge has anyone close to me watched the video, and honestly, I don't think I would want to share that with anyone that is close to me. And that should give you an idea of, one, how embarrassing it is, and two, what a mistake it was. The next is a question along with a statement. This was supposedly the reason you left the channel in the first place, according to most of the people on here. Did it actually impact your decision to leave? Most of us supported you, and the kid deserved to be scared after what he had done. No, it was not the reason I left, and it didn't impact my decision to leave YouTube for a long period of time. And I disagree with that last statement. I don't believe the kid deserved what happened. Next question, has your demeanor changed since this event? Do you approach the people you troll differently now? I guess maybe a little bit. Keep in mind that the personality that I bring to those videos is not 100% me in real life. It's for entertainment purposes only. If you've met me in real life, you might come away with the opinion that I'm actually really reserved, kind of shy, and not someone that's going to be the loudest voice in the room or trash talk someone or go looking for a fight. So I guess a way that my demeanor has changed when I go out to make a video, if I'm trying to get a reaction out of someone or trying to push their buttons to give me an angry reaction, I don't feel as comfortable if I understand that the person on the other side of the mic is a lot younger. And the last question before we really get into this is, was there anything you would have said differently in hindsight? Would your tone, manner have changed if you knew he was recording? Looking back on it, I probably should have known he was recording because the events leading up to it was an obvious attempt to get a certain reaction out of me, and he got the reaction he was looking for. So if I would have just stopped and thought for a moment, I would have realized he's probably recording, and I most likely would have not even participated in the call. And I'll say this right now, I'm not going to share any of the clips on this video. If you would like to watch it for yourself, I do believe it is still up and easily searchable, so if you would rather watch that first, come back here, and then form an opinion, that's totally fine. But let's get right into it. So how did I find myself in this situation? Well, if you remember, we used to do a live podcast called PTFO Live. It was with Jimmy, or KSX Silencer, and Kyle, or Mr. Technical Difficult. It was streamed on YouTube for 2 hours every single Tuesday, and there was no particular topics that we would discuss. We would just kind of BS with each other. It was us trying to further connect with our audiences. And it was rather successful. I think we averaged anywhere between 5,000 and 10,000 viewers a night. And when you have that many people watching and trying to connect with the people that they watch every day on YouTube, when there is severe disruptions in the show, it becomes very, very frustrating. And the disruptions that we were having to deal with happened every single week. We were receiving DDoS attacks. That stands for Distributed Denial of Service. I'm not going to go into any detail about what that is and how it works, but basically it fries your internet. You just get booted offline, and then we would get back on and we'd be booted again, and honestly, we just couldn't do the show, and it is the #1 reason why Painkiller Already is pre-recorded now. They decided to just entirely give up and go offline and pre-record. We, however, wanted to do a live show. It's something special to be able to connect with your audience in a live setting. To accomplish this, we purchased a VPN, which is a virtual private network. It essentially hides your real IP address, so those trying to pull your IP so they can boot you offline are seeing a IP address that is not actually yours. So we were able to continue doing a live show, but obviously something terrible happened before we did this. So just imagine for a moment that you're doing a live show every single week for between 5,000 and 10,000 people. They look forward to it every week. We had people in there before we even started, just waiting for the show to start. We would have people calling in so we could further connect with our viewers. It was something that I very much enjoyed doing on Tuesday night. It was a way for me to really get to know you and to try to put on something entertaining, even though there wasn't any specific topics. It was just a fun way to be like, hey, we're all hanging out here. And when you can't get the show to work because someone's booting you offline repeatedly, that becomes extremely frustrating. And I don't know how I got in contact, but I think someone I knew had figured out through Twitter or something that they knew who was doing this and got in contact with them on Skype and invited me to a call. So let me try to give you an idea of what my mindset was going into this call and try to give you an idea of how incredibly frustrated I was. Now, of course, this is something I enjoy doing. It's a way to connect with viewers, but it's also a revenue stream. This was my job. This is how I paid the bills. And we have sponsors on this video, so we're obviously making money on this show, and when you can't do it, it feels like your time is just being wasted. They're sucking the ability of you to put on a show and also make money off of it. And so I am just fuming mad, trying to figure out tons of different ways to keep the show going. We discussed taking it offline. I definitely did not want to do that because a live show is just much more enjoyable. A lot more exciting things happen when it's live, and people don't really want to watch all the way through on a pre-recorded video. People want to see it then and now, and they couldn't do that. So going into this call, my emotions are not where they need to be. So I don't remember all that was said verbatim. I just know one specific thing that I said, and the reason I remember it is it's the line that everyone quotes back to me when they want to talk about this instance, and that is, "I'm going to kick your teeth in." So this was obviously, and maybe rightly, seen as me making a violent threat towards a minor. I don't know exactly what else I said in this call. If you want to quote it back to me in the comments, that's totally fine. I just know that it is mostly me just screaming at the top of my lungs at this kid. It should be clearly obvious to you that I had completely lost my shit. Without any further context on what led up to that call, it definitely makes me look like a mean, capricious, bully, and maybe even violent person. That is 100% not me at all. My frustrations and emotions 100% got the absolute best of me. There was no sign of any rational thought going into this call. I was dealing with my business being disrupted repeatedly on a weekly basis. I was frustrated with not being able to get the show to go the way that I think it should have gone, and I was struggling with ideas to make it work, and then I was presented with the person that was responsible for it, and I just lost it. I just let it all out there, and I should not have acted the way that I did. Was this young person responsible for committing a crime in distributed denial of service attacks, disrupting my business? Yes. But he was a kid and was not deserving of the verbal lashing that I gave him. I should have been the adult. I honestly should not even have confronted him for a second. I should not have joined this call. I should have taken the time to calm myself down, think rationally, and make a responsible decision. You know, I could have just said, that's it, we're going to get a VPN and I'm just going to forget about this. But again, the emotions got the best of me. And the consequences of my actions are there forever. Nothing just disappears off the internet. That video is there forever. I have to see a comment about it pretty much on every single video that I do, either in a taunting way or someone genuinely curious about what happened there. And I was actually thinking a lot about this last night when I was planning out how I wanted to go about this video and the things that I wanted to say. And I thought to myself, what would happen if that video came out or all of this happened today? If my channel was as big and getting the views that it did back then today, what my consequences would be. And I think they would have been much more severe, and even in the future could come back to bite me. Because back then when I saw the video, I didn't even think much of it. All I thought was, wow, that is unfortunate for me. That is really embarrassing. But it wasn't covered by corporate media that might cover something like that today of a big YouTuber. It wasn't picked up by any big drama alert channels. And I hate this term, but cancel culture is pretty unforgiving. If that came out today, that might be the end of me. If I was as big as I was right now today, and that came out, it would be nonstop. I would never hear the end of it, and I would pretty much be shamed right off of YouTube, because today, you are not allowed to make mistakes. See, in reality, Mistakes are how you learn. Mistakes are how you become a better person. It's how you move on with your life to do something more positive and learn from a mistake or a terrible experience that you had. But today, you are judged by your past, not your present or your future. And I've been thinking to myself, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't really worry that if this channel blows up again, if that will come back and be a topic of discussion. Because you see it all the time with bigger celebrities and bigger YouTubers who may have done or said something 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, and all of a sudden they're canceled. You're just not allowed to make a mistake. You're not allowed to learn something. You're not allowed to attempt to make yourself a better person. You're just finished. And that doesn't just apply on YouTube. Imagine for a second that for whatever reason I decide, you know what, I want to run for public office. Well, there's this little thing called opposition research, and it's going to take about 3 seconds to disqualify me. So here we go. For the record, here in the present and in the future, if I happen to blow up on YouTube again or decide to run for public office, I don't think I'll run for public office, but hey, just in case I decide to change my mind, here is my official response. This incident was the biggest mistake I ever made on YouTube. It is by far my biggest regret on YouTube. I should not have acted in the way that I did, and it is a mistake that I recognize, and it is a mistake that I have most certainly learned from and doing my best to move on from it and just be a better person and be more positive. I'd also like to extend an apology to the people that looked up to me and or just enjoyed my content, that were completely left in the dark about the events leading up to and why this incident happened, and got the impression that I was a terrible person and a bully. That's not me, and I hope that this story gave you further explanation and some closure on why this happened and why I acted the way that I did. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I hope you enjoyed it. If there are any further questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them in the comment section below. I would love to hear your opinion. And that's it for today. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic, glorious, beautiful rest of your day, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.